The word Polytechnic is most commonly used to refer to schools, colleges, or universities that qualify as an institute of technology or vocational university, also sometimes called universities of applied sciences. In some countries, like the United Kingdom, the focus of polytechnics was on STEM subjects. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and refers to any subjects that fall under these four principles. What used to be known as polytechnics in the UK had special emphasis on engineering. After the passage of the European Countries Further and Higher Education Act of 1992, they became independent universities, which meant that they could award their own degrees. The acronym STEM originates from discussions about the lack of qualified graduates to work in high-tech jobs in the US. Since its creation, the governments and universities around the world have made attracting students to STEM courses a priority in order to address this shortfall. The Tertiary Education Trust Fund is embarking on a paradigm shift in favor of research and development. STEM plays a major role in this because the world has moved on to a knowledge economy based on innovation, and Nigeria cannot afford to be left behind. Our polytechnics must be put to work and repositioned to produce the best workforce. These are the chronicles of the journey to institutionalize research and development in Nigeria. Hello, and welcome to this edition of TETFund, the Paradigm Shift. I am Stanley Bentu. Indeed, it has been a busy time for TETFund. Hot on the heels of completing a 2-day capacity building workshop for its 12 new centers of excellence located this time in polytechnics and colleges of education, the intervention agency carried out a capacity building workshop for public polytechnics starting in the northern zone, with another organized in the southern zone of Nigeria. Now, the theme of the workshop is improving skills development in Nigeria polytechnics for economic growth, entrepreneurial, and social inclusion. This is crucial for TETFund's paradigm shift towards research and development. The Executive Secretary of TETFund, Professor Suleiman Elias Bogoro, has consistently said that innovation is the only way that Nigeria can become a leader in today's knowledge economy. On this edition of the program, we will give you all of the details of the event, but before we do that, it's important that we understand why polytechnics are crucial for industrial growth. Take a look at this report.
The establishment of the Polytechnic was a reaction to the rise of industrial power and technical education in France, Germany, and the United States. Some polytechnics trace their history as far back as the early 19th century. The first British institution to use the name Polytechnic was the Royal Cornwall Polytechnic Society way back in 1832, together with the affectionate nickname the Poly. Polytechnics play a vital and indispensable role in developing any society. Their aim was to teach both purely academic and professional vocational degrees, such as engineering, computer science, law, architecture, management, business, accounting, journalism, town planning, etc. The list goes on. Their original focus was applied education for professional work, and though their original roots concentrated on advanced engineering and applied sciences, they also eventually started creating departments concerned with the humanities. Interestingly, The very first tertiary institution in Nigeria was a technology institution. That's the Yaba College of Technology, which was established in 1932. It was initially known as Yaba High College, and it commenced studies 2 years later in 1934. Today, there are over 17 federal and 26 state-owned polytechnic colleges, respectively, all established to train technical mid-level manpower. In Nigeria, the Polytechnic serves very, very important roles, which include human resource development, which is through the provision of skilled manpower, training people who can apply specific scientific knowledge to solve environmental problems, providing an opportunity for students to personally practice, the theoretical methods in the classroom. It also provides, technical knowledge and the skills necessary for agricultural, industrial, commercial, and generally the economic development of the nation. Some other important roles for the polytechnics are, it gives exposure on professional studies in technology, and it gives training and the necessary skills, for the production of technicians, technologists, and other skilled personnel who can be very enterprising and self-reliant. Polytechnic education in Nigeria is focused on training, essentially equipping and deploying students who are productive, purposeful, strategic, enterprising, and self-reliant enough to add value to the society, with or without a white-collar job. And this is the answer to the alarming rates of unemployment and underemployment currently haunting Nigeria.
Well, earlier I mentioned a capacity building program by TETFund designed to strengthen beneficiary polytechnics so they can better fulfill the mandate of providing the needed manpower that will basically put the nation on the path to economic growth and development. Remember that polytechnics are set up in Nigeria to basically provide technological and technical education that will produce graduates with industrial, tailored technical knowledge and skills. The need for acquisition of skills and entrepreneurship development in polytechnics cannot be underestimated because these skills are needed in all critical sectors of the economy. Think China and all that that country has been able to accomplish, driven by the dexterity of its workforce. The country has literally become indispensable in the tech world because of its workforce and because that workforce can manufacture the most intricate components that exist in almost every device that we use every day. And they can do it at a cheaper cost than anyone else. Now, here is what happened during the capacity building workshop for polytechnics, which took place at the NAF Conference Center right here in Abuja.
Everyone looked prime and prepared at the NAF Conference Center as TETFund gathered polytechnics for the workshop, which could see their ratings skyrocket if the content of the training is diligently applied. The event was kick-started by the Executive Secretary of TETFund, that's Professor Suleiman Bogoro, who noted that the capacity building program was meant to strengthen beneficiary polytechnics by helping them fulfill their mandates of providing the needed manpower that will put the nation on the track to economic growth and development.
The capacity building program by the fund is a support aimed at strengthening beneficiary polytechnics to fulfill their mandates of providing the needed manpower that will put the nation on the path to economic growth and development. Workshops of this nature will continue to deepen our understanding and educate us on our purposes as citizens and as scholars, while consistently reminding us of our obligations and responsibilities in nation building. Following the Industrial Revolution that swept across many European nations, societies have continued to grapple with diverse issues, including that of development, especially with the advent of technology and the invention of machine, To survive, nations have found themselves struggling with diverse plans and strategies in all spheres of life, and have devoted a lot to the promotion of learning and education in its formal context. It is generally believed that it's only through acquisition of relevant knowledge and skills education that progress in this technology-driven world can be achieved. In pre-independent Nigeria, plans regarding the development of the country began in earnest under the colonial administration. Administrative and bureaucratic changes made it necessary for citizens to acquire Western education to be able to fit into the new and emerging structure. In realization of the enormous responsibilities that come with self-rule, the need for education to cater for the manpower for Nigerians to manage the economy and other various sectors became glaring to all, including, of course, the European colonizers. Subsequently, polytechnic education was introduced in Nigeria to basically provide technical education for the middle level that would produce graduates with industry-tailored technical knowledge and skills. And since their establishment, polytechnics have not only continued to increase in number, but have tried to continue to justify the reasons for their establishment in the first place. The acquisition of skills and entrepreneurship development in polytechnics cannot be underestimated because skills are needed in all critical sectors of the economy, technology, and non-technology sectors alike. Entrepreneurship, on its part, is seen as an entire process in which individuals in society pursue opportunities and fulfill needs through innovations. The acquisition of skills prepares individuals with the capabilities to compete globally for gainful employment and helps solve several challenges in many areas, thus creating a brighter future for nations and individuals.
Professor Bogoro, however, cautioned that the considerable effort that the government is making in Nigeria's public polytechnics have to pay off. There's a lot that must be done by the polytechnics themselves, especially in the areas of promoting entrepreneurial development for the Nigerian society.
While it is agreed that polytechnics have justified their establishment in Nigeria, there is still much to be desired. The glaring gap in indigenous technological development for national growth is one of the many areas that polytechnics need to address. We can draw our lessons from the Asian tigers, who have greatly developed their local technology, local and relevant technology, not only for national development, but also for export. We cannot afford to continuously and wholly rely on importation of technology for national development, knowing fully well its shortcomings and deficiencies. Our polytechnics must rise to the challenges of the 21st century, knowledge, economy, by reinventing themselves to providing the needed skills gaps for sustainable technological growth. It is because of the gaps in our tertiary educational landscape that TETFund was established by government to intervene specifically in public universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education across the country. Since the commencement of intervention projects and programs in 1999, having pulled together resources between 93 and that year, 99, the fund has made tremendous effort to meet its mandate as stipulated in the ACT. The areas include, by the way, I should have made it very clear that the polytechnic clusters gathered in this hall are from the 3 geopolitical zones of the North. For the universities, we started with the southern 3 geopolitical zones in Lagos. And we had the reverse version in Abuja here for those in the 3 zones of the North. For the polytechnics, we are starting from the North, and we go for the second final session to the south.
Gracing the occasion alongside the TETFund boss was the Executive Secretary of the National Board for Technical Education, that's Professor Idris Mohammed Bugaje, who described the workshop as a wake-up call for public polytechnics to reposition themselves for skills development. According to him, the workshop addresses skills training under the government's National Skills Acquisitions Framework, that's NSQF, which was approved by the Federal Executive Council way back in 2017.
This workshop is a wake-up call to every polytechnic to reposition itself for skills development. This is the nutshell of the entire workshop. And this is what I regard as another paradigm shift. So many paradigms are shifting under the leadership of the chairman and ES of the TETFund. And this is a major one. Specifically, this workshop is meant to address the following. Number one, skills training under the NSQF. Rectors need to understand what the Nigerian Skills Qualification Framework is and the need to conduct skills training in polytechnics under that framework, approved by the Federal Executive Council in 2017. Secondly, improving the skill contents of technical education. I'm talking here of national diploma and higher national diploma. The level of skills content is depreciating. You get ND graduates, HND graduates without the requisite hands-on skills. This workshop is supposed to address that. How do we improve on the skills content of technical education? Thirdly, enhancement of entrepreneurship as education as delivered in the polytechnics. In other words, we know in the polytechnics we are doing much better than the universities in entrepreneurship training. But something is also missing there. The training is being conducted somewhat haphazardly. The skills content are very low. There is need to look into the NSQF and see how entrepreneurship training in the various entrepreneurship development centers of the polytechnics can be conducted under the NSQF. If you take level 1 of the NSQF, there are different modules. There is need to train students on specific modules and give them certification on those modules so that when they graduate, they will have an additional qualification to lean on. In case the ND doesn't fit them a job, maybe the skills qualification can give them an immediate employment.
The chairman of the fund's board of trustees, that's Alhaji Kasim Ibrahim Imam, emphasized that entrepreneurship is one of TETFund's focal points for polytechnics in Nigeria. In his view, once entrepreneurship is firmly established as a culture for graduates, the need for white-collar jobs will dissipate.
Let every polytechnic create, invent, innovate. I want you to train your students so that by the time they graduate, this job that they call blue-collar jobs, they will not find it attractive at all. They should be able to hit the ground running in one enterprise or the other.
With the objective solidly set, it was time to get to work. The participants soaked up crucial information that would be considered relevant to the needs, aspirations, and the development of the nation's diverse economies and its industries. It is with that hope that such acquired training from polytechnics would lead to the transformation of the country's economy and industrial development.
Well, the paradigm shift was curious to know about the challenges being faced by Nigerian polytechnics, and so what we did was to interview 2 rectors and 1 center director from the Polytechnics who were beneficiaries of the capacity building workshop. They are Engineer Dr. Yahya Mohammed Bande, who's the rector of the Federal Polytechnic Kauranomoda in Zamfara State. We also talked to Dr. Usman Kalamu, the rector, Federal Polytechnic in Damaturu, and finally, Dr. Opalwa Idoko Augustine, who's the director, academic planning, Federal Polytechnic, Ida. Now here's what they had to say.
Well, the main purpose for creating polytechnics is to acquire hands-on skills. So, which principally is lacked in almost all the polytechnics, not all, but most of the polytechnics. And to acquire skill, you need people who have the hands-on training. And that is why MBT recently created what they call NSQ, National Skill Qualification, of which the entry requirement may not be English, mathematics, physics, and all that. It is all about what you know, can do with your hands and how you can impact that knowledge. That is the main target of the polytechnics.
So our major challenges now are, first, funding in taking care of these threats. We have different skills, so that we need some equipment to give them more training. Then secondly is the issue of certification.
The first thing we'll look at, I think, is the issue of funding. Because skill acquisition, there are machines, there are equipments that are to be there, because without equipment, you cannot even practice any training on skill acquisition. So that money, if there is no fund, virtually it is not going to it's not going to be possible.
For somebody to be self-reliant as a polytechnic graduate, he must have a skill that he can do on his own. He doesn't have to wait for any white-collar job. And once we do that, jobs come their way.
Whoever that enrolled into Federal Polytechnic in Damaturu as a student, he must learn just at least a skill. And before he finishes, we'll make sure that he's specialized in that skill.
If the government can actually provide enough funds so that, we can even, you can use money to beat such people. When they see money, you can even say, oh, come and learn this thing. I'll be giving you, at the end of the day, I'll give you a small amount of money which you will use before you come tomorrow, like that one. So if there is enough fund, I think we'll be able to sail through.
I expect directors, and because the workshop contains directors, entrepreneurship, directors, academic planning, to go home, put what they have collected together, put on their heads, sort out skills from their own departments. Well, if they have the hands-on skill in the department, fine. If they don't have, they can link up with external hands-on skills people.
This, is a very good and it's a very timely workshop, because from now, like all the stakeholders, they are actually saying it with the whole of their mind that this thing must be possible. And so, to me, it is my prayer that it will be possible.
It will equip all polytechnics to go and at least form a skill training center in our institutions.
One thing that Nigerians must be wary of, and this is why TETFund's paradigm shift is very important, is that you could build all of the buildings in the world and construct all of the roads and other infrastructures that you want, but if you don't provide facilities and build the capacity of those who will be using and maintaining that infrastructure, it's only a matter of time before it all comes crashing down. It would be a little like taking tons of money and just tossing it out the window. So the quality of graduates that Nigeria produces is very important. And the key to producing quality graduates is quality faculty. After all, if you want to build a better nation, you must build better people. And that is the paradigm shift. Join us again next time on the program. Until then, thank you for stopping by. Good night.